Hello, beautiful souls. This is Sundri. Welcome to your lunar cycle reading for our new moon cycle beginning July 20th, 2020. For those new to my channel, these readings are divided up by element, and in this video we will be speaking to the energies of Earth. So this might be the element that's associated with your astrological sign. In the case of Earth, that can be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, and that might be in any of your sun, moon, or rising houses. Or this may be the energy and the element that you're simply feeling drawn to in this moment. I'll update to include links in the description of each video to the other elements of this lunar cycle as well, just in case you're having trouble deciding which element feels most aligned for you right now. Please do remember that these readings are general and no reading resonates for everyone. So if you do feel connected to something that you see or hear in these readings, I hope that it brings you insight and inspiration. And I invite you to remember that you are the author of your own destiny. We always have the opportunity to choose whether to embrace our current state or whether to pick a different direction. So I do invite you to meditate on these cards with me and engage your own intuition and let it guide you. And if you enjoy these readings, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on that important little bell icon that keeps you informed when I post new videos. Since we're talking about the new moon energy reading today, I have drawn cards from the True Black Tarot, as well as a message card from the Secret Language of Light, and I've taken the time to meditate with these messages. This is a general energy cycle reading, and starting off, I'm really feeling the energy of sovereignty and some confidence for you beautiful Earth children. There is so much energy wound up in the major shifts that are going on in the spiritual and physical aspects of life right now, and I'm feeling like either you are already feeling pretty confident of your direction, or you might be looking for some stability in order to find that confidence. Either way, that sovereignty is going to be a big key in this reading. There is a lot of Leo solar cycle moving through this reading, and I'm definitely feeling like karmic cycles are going to be a big talking point during this time. And also that while we're being encouraged to go forward with gusto, we are also being counseled to be careful about being too impulsive, or maybe too sensitive or too reactive. This is a really interesting cycle as our new moon is going to be in Cancer, but it does very quickly flow into Leo. So we're starting this cycle off in the energy of the house that concerns emotions and that can create kind of a craving for emotional stability. And then we're adding in a dash of that house that can lean us towards needing to be acknowledged. So emotionally, we may be feeling the need to have our emotions acknowledged or reciprocated in some way. And then as we start off with this cycle, being seen and feeling heard are both going to be points that I feel will be affecting all the signs through this lunar time. I do find it interesting that our full moon at the end of this cycle will be happening in Aquarius, which may give us a stronger sense of detachment or objectivity by the end of this cycle. So hopefully we'll be able to shake off some of that emotional sensitivity and step back a bit. Aquarius can be a house that helps us to gain new perspective, and so at the end of this cycle, and especially for this Earth energy, we may be receiving more clarity and insight than we have right at this moment in time. So we'll start with the card for the new moon, and for those who've chosen the element of Earth, right away we have the Emperor showing up. The Emperor appearing in the new moon feels to me that you're ready to step into this new cycle of manifestation. We are starting this cycle off from a place of feeling out the edges of our own authority and with a big idea either forming or fully formed that maybe we're ready to put into action. I'm really feeling like you know the goal that you're setting for yourself at this time around, and it may be something that you've already begun defining the steps that you need to take to accomplish. There is some serious universal energy backing you up right now, and while our new moon in Cancer might bring out your emotional side more strongly, there is also energy being offered here to help you to keep that from being overwhelming. This card is also suggesting that now is not the time for entirely impulsive action or for relying solely on feeling, as our emotional state may be a little bit too sensitive at this point. This is a time for structure. Obviously, always trust your gut, and it does feel like, especially as the month progresses, there is a lot of confident and intuitional energy involved. But for the start of this lunar cycle, I'm feeling very impressed to stress that structure is going to be very important in getting this cycle off in the most aligned way. Things like making a schedule or keeping a to-do list, especially if you have a big project or a new endeavor that you're starting out, keeping that list of steps and having that structure to fall back on is going to help keep you out of the energy of feeling overwhelmed or getting sidetracked. And there are still some big shifts to come and a lot of deep soul work going on for your resonance right now. Something to note here is that there is an undercurrent in this reading that pairs really strongly with the reading for water during this cycle, with the first card of each reading reflecting a readiness for this energy cycle, as well as pulling the Anant for the waxing crescent in both readings. I will link to the other videos in the description below as they are released, and it might be beneficial for those connecting to Earth to also view the video for water. So Anant is symbolic of the energy of our existence beyond cycles. This is outside the cycle of suffering and rebirth. This card is symbolic of our true divine nature beyond the lessons and beyond the striving and beyond all of the changes that we're endlessly going through. This feels like it speaks to the power behind the Wheel of Fortune. That's the energy that empowers our whole soul ascension and descension cycle. And if the Wheel of Fortune is the turning of the cycles, the Anant is symbolic of the engine that powers that wheel. I am feeling this as an illumination and an invitation to connect really deeply with our inner nature. You are stepping onto your soul path right now, or being invited to do so. And during this part of the cycle, there is a really deep opportunity to connect with your truest self and really get your feet planted on that road. Now might be a good time to do some deep release work or some really big energy clearing. Anything that's going to help you to remove what acts like a veil or what obscures your ability to connect with and understand your true nature, and then the path that you're being called to walk. This can be things like Ho'oponopono or Akashic record work. Deep energy clearing sessions are all things that are coming to mind for those connecting to the element of earth right now. That's things like grabbing your sage or Palo Santo, setting up a crystal grid, pulling up a gong journey or an energy clearing video on YouTube. And for those who are connecting to earth, especially right now, going outside and getting your feet on the ground, doing some deep breathing work and deep grounding and earthing work right now. This is a time to be exploring what's blocking you and doing some shadow work and bringing those things up into light so that you can clear them away and keep them from blocking your own radiance. This is going to be a good time for whatever helps to clear that path forward, and that is totally in line with the energy of the waxing crescent moon anyway. So this is kind of how we can tie in and work with that lunar flow. Again, I will also link to the Earth reading this cycle in the description below, as these two elements are sharing some vibes right now, and it would be good to meditate on both if you feel aligned there. Moving into the first quarter, this is a time for honing our focus, for coming out of that introspective space and into a place of action. And the Six of Wands is really embracing some Leo energy as we're starting to get towards the end of July. So putting your focus into clearing and connection may really feel like it starts to pay off around this point in time. The Six of Wands is a battle won. It's a victory. It's very full of optimism, it's full of celebration, and definitely full of a feeling of success. We may not be seeing ultimate success right now, but as we're entering this first quarter, we're definitely going to be seeing some signs that our hard work is manifesting things in the right direction, or just feeling more free and open in ourself, as doing all that deep soul work to really get yourself aligned with your path is going to open up things that have been blocked for you before now. This is a point at which others might also be seeing your success, and here we may begin to find a little of that acknowledgement that we've been craving. Really letting that confidence shine, and don't hesitate to believe in yourself. With Leo season can come a boost to our self-confidence, and that can be a super empowering energy to stand in. Now, it's important not to let our ego overtake us at this time, but definitely don't let in any negative self-talk that might start up in response to having cleared some of those blockages. I personally find that when doing lots of releasing work, there is often a bit of a kickback that can happen as we disconnect from things that aren't good for us. So you may see people or things that show up in response to your clearer energy field. And the Six of Wands is telling us that, yes, it is totally okay to feel some pride in the fact that you've walked away from those things, and then to keep on walking. Hold your head up high and don't turn back or get distracted from what it is that you're trying to accomplish for yourself. Finally, we'll flow into the waxing gibbous moon. Full speed ahead, and with our sense of victory, what we've been setting into motion is definitely going to begin to manifest at this time. And it does feel to me like maybe the next lunar cycle is going to shake things up all over again. So now is a time to really do that soul work and be prepared. Nearing the full moon, we might be seeing some changes in our perspective that come with some serious power behind them. This moon cycle ends with our moon in Aquarius, which is a sign that can make us a little idealistic or detached from a lot of the peopling. Aquarius energy can be a bit over the top at times, and what this card is telling me is that our senses, and that's both physical and psychic, might feel extra heightened right now. Maybe even to the point of feeling overwhelming, especially if you have psychic gifts that you've been exploring or that are newly opening for you. With all of the deep soul work that's going on for us Earth children, this cycle there is going to be a bit of rawness, maybe even a little bit of defensiveness or intolerance towards anyone who has trouble accepting this newest evolution of you. We may be feeling just a little bit protective. We're going to be feeling a little soft and wanting to make sure that we kind of protect that energy of what we've just changed. So the moon card here is really making me feel like this is a fantastic point to connect with that lunar energy as you're releasing your intentions and letting them manifest out in the world. Lunar cycles are not gender specific. Even though the feminine energy is often connected to the moon, we're working with emotional energy here and feeling our feelings instead of trying to rationalize them. You may have opened some channels that were blocked, and I'm feeling like the message for you at the end of this cycle is really to open up and observe this new way of being to understand it better. I love the moon card in this deck as it has a really unique interpretation of this energy. When I first got this deck and I looked through it, I thought that the hand hovering over the figure almost looked like something reaching out of the darkness to grasp at her. It was a little intimidating to me at first. And after sitting with it for a while, and especially as I've done more readings with this deck, I did realize that it's actually a reflection or an alternate perspective of the hand that she's reaching downward. Exploring our emotional state to gain clarity and understanding, and engaging our psychic senses in order to see from more than one view are both really strongly present in the deeper symbology of this card. It's very indicative of connection to intuitive practices. If we're approaching this time with an objective mindset, this can be a really powerful time to gain insight. The flip side of the moon card can mean, however, that if we're impulsive or we're too invested or too locked into a certain perspective, we may end up being thrown way off balance or even becoming fearful of what we're seeing showing up, because this is a time of intensity in our psychic field, and the energy of the moon card can sometimes be associated with that term lunacy. This may be a point where you find yourself diving so deep into the esoteric that people around you may have a difficult time understanding your perspective or connecting to it. I feel like this happens when we get so excited about a newly opened gift or a new set of senses that we're developing that we become a bit obsessive about them and maybe lose sight of how it fits into the bigger picture. If this happens to you, do try to step back into that soul connection that you worked to establish earlier on in the cycle, and maybe even give yourself some deep healing time, or repeat some of the practices that you used during the waxing crescent if you can, and really let that Aquarius moon help you to gain new perspective without trying so hard to make it happen. You may discover that there are aspects of yourself or your goal that you were blind to before that really pop out for you now. Finally, I have pulled an oracle card from the Secret Language of Light, which I felt connected to the need for illumination during this cycle that starts off with a lot of shadow. For those connecting with the energy of Earth this cycle, I'm really seeing the message that right now is the time to be releasing anything that no longer serves you. It's time to clear out the cobwebs and really release any old cycles that are not part of your true soul path. Now is definitely the time to really allow that light to shine from the deepest parts of yourself and to really let your inner power shine. This is a card that reminds us that happiness comes naturally and that when we're moving with our soul path, there is no effort involved in finding happiness or in taking our steps forward. We just shine without trying to because we're flowing with the universe in all things. There is divine force moving like a current around everything that we do and everything we experience, and we can choose to try and move against it, or we can move with it. It becomes pretty obvious, which requires less effort and struggle on our part. That doesn't mean that we can just be lazy and not put in the work of doing, but it's also a reminder that there are often signs that we encounter when we're moving in the right direction, and that right now your energy has the opportunity to really be moving forward fast. It's only when we step away from our soul path and we start grasping to try and force things to go how we think that they should be that we start to clutter up our brilliance. So as you pass through this lunar cycle, may you step into this new place in your soul's path without fear. May you recognize the astonishing brilliance that exists within you and realize that regardless of the cycles you've been through, your true self is beautiful. May you shed what needs to be shed without effort and with the grace of knowing that you are letting go of the old in order to make room for the amazing things to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this lunar cycle reading for the element of Earth. I will link the other elemental readings for this cycle in the description below as they are released. If you enjoyed this reading, please remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, shine that light, beautiful souls.